Hello viewers, in today's lecture I will be going to discuss about the structure and function of nucleolus. Before starting, I would like to highlight that this presentation is a part of the initiative taken by the Zoological Society of Assam to help the students of zoology during this lockdown period. Let's start. After going through this presentation, the student will be able to know what is nucleolus, what does it look like, that means about its structure and organization, how does it assemble, and what are its different types of functions. At the onset of the presentation, I'd like to mention certain basic facts about the nucleolus so that the presentation will be more attractive and interesting for the students. Actually, the nucleolus is a small, dense, spherical structure present in the nucleus, and it is the site for ribosomal RNA transcription. The nucleolus was first described by Felix Fontana in 1781, and he noted its presence in the slime of an eel. And later on, in 1839, Gabriel Gustave Valentine coined the term nucleolus. The nucleolus can be again defined as the nuclear domain where the genes for the 3 of the 4 ribosomal RNAs are transcribed. We know that there are 4 types of ribosomal RNAs found in case of eukaryotes. They are 5S, 5.8S, 18S and 28S ribosomal RNAs. Among these 4 ribosomal RNAs, except the 5S ribosomal RNA, the other 3 ribosomal RNAs are transcribed within the nucleolus, and the ribosomal subunits are also assembled within it. The nucleolus is attached to chromosomes at certain specific point, which is known as the nucleolar organizer region, or in short it is known as the NOR. In chromosomes, we know that there is a primary constriction which is known as the centromeric region, and in some chromosomes, besides this primary constriction, another constriction is present which is known as the secondary constriction, and this secondary constriction is also known as the nucleolar organizer region, as they have the ability to generate the nucleolus. And the number of chromosomes that bear NOR may vary in different species. For example, in case of human being, there are 5 chromosomes that bear NOR in their short arm, and they are chromosome number 13, 14, 15, 21 and 22. In this diagram, we can see that certain portion of the chromosomes are encircled in red dotted rectangles, and these are the site where the nucleolar organizer is situated. So I hope that now we are able to know what is nucleolus and where it is located. The number of nucleoli is not constant. Generally only 1 or 2 nucleoli can be seen, but its number may vary. As I have already told that in case of human being, there are 5 chromosomes that bear NOR in their short arm. And we know that chromosomes are present in homologous pairs. So there may be a possibility of having 10 nucleoli in case of human cell. But actually this is not happening. All the nucleoli have a tendency to fuse together so that they can form a common mature nucleolus. And we know that different species possess different chromosomes. In the same way, they will possess different chromosomes having NOR. So the number of nucleolus is not constant. Generally, in case of most of the nucleoli, the shape is spherical, but it may be of ring, reticulated and compact type depending upon the activity of the cell, and we'll discuss in detail about this later. The nucleolus is not a true cell organelle, but from its behavior and function, it can be considered as the largest cell organelle within the nucleus, and it takes up around 25% of the volume of the entire nucleus. Now, I hope that you have got some ideas about the nucleolus, and we can proceed with the main part of the presentation. Let us have a look on the structure of nucleolus. The nucleolus is a naked structure. It is not bound by any kind of biomembrane. Though it is not covered by any kind of biomembrane, it looks like a membrane-bound organelle because the perinuclear chromatin, which is present at the periphery of the nucleolus, gives a membrane-bound appearance. From the perinuclear chromatin, certain septal-like structures arise, which are known as the intranuclear chromatin, and due to the presence of this perinuclear chromatin, the nucleolus looks like a membrane-bound organelle. The main component which are present in nucleolus are DNA, that means the ribosomal DNA, RNA, and various types of proteins. The nucleolus have a different refractive index from the rest of the nucleus. So, it can be seen under phase contrast or any other microscope. When the nucleus is stained with a variety of nucleic acid stain, the nucleolus appear as a dark dot, and in this diagram we can see that this dark dot is the nucleolus. So under microscope, nucleolus appears as dark dot. The size of nucleoli may vary from one cell to another. Generally, it may be of 1 micrometer in diameter in case of small cells, and it may reach up to 10 micrometer or more in case of large cells. Mainly, its size depends on the cellular activities. Those cells which have more biosynthetic activities have larger nucleolus than those cells which have less biosynthetic activities. For example, sperms, blastomeres have smaller nucleolus, and oocytes, neurons, different types of secretory cells have larger nucleolus. Nucleolus, like the other part of the nucleus, is dynamic at various levels. It breaks down and reforms during the cell cycle, as well as it can change its shape, size, and position within the nucleus. So, the nucleolus can be considered as a dynamic structure. The cyclical changes of the nucleolus during cell cycle is termed as the nucleolar cycle. And this is the diagram of nucleolar cycle in human being. As we can see that in this diagram, the assembly and disassembly of nucleolus is shown. During interphase, the nucleolus is fully organized, and we can see it in this diagram. And after that, when it enters the prophase of the next cell cycle, it undergoes disassembly. Again, reassembly occurs towards the late telophase and early G1. The formation of nucleolus generally takes place in two steps. First, certain small prenuclear bodies are formed, and then these prenuclear bodies associate with each other to form a common nucleolus. Thus, during various stages of cell cycle, assembly and disassembly of nucleolus takes place. Let's come to the point of nuclear organization. There are two types of nuclear organization found across various phylum. Amniotes have a tripartite nuclear organization, and tripartite means the nucleolus have three components. They are small lightly staining region, which is known as fibrillar center, and it is surrounded by densely stained material, which is known as dense fibrillar component, and the remainder of the nucleolus contains densely packed granules, which is known as the granular component. But the anamniotes display a bipartite nuclear organization. That means they does not have the three component, they only have two component in their nucleolus. They lack the fibrillar center of the tripartite organization, and during evolution this third nuclear compartment emerged at the transition point between the anamniotes and the amniotes, and this may be due to the substantial increase in the size of ribosomal DNA intergenic region. The fibrillar center is made up of network of very fine fibrils, and it is the site of ribosomal RNA transcription. Dense fibrillar component is also made up of very fine, densely packed fibrils, and in this region the processing of pre-ribosomal RNA takes place. The granular component appears to consist of small granules containing pre-ribosomal subunit, and in this region the assembly of ribosomal subunit takes place. So the fibrillar center, dense fibrillar component and granular component are different regions where progressive stages of ribosomal RNA transcription takes place. Nucleoli in case of plant cells sometimes have a central clear region, and this clear region is known as the nucleolar vacuole or nucleolar cavity. In this diagram, this is the nucleolar vacuole or nucleolar cavity. So, different types of nucleoli have different type of nucleolar organization. The three nucleolar domains, that is fibrillar center, dense fibrillar component and granular component, are found in all mammalian cell nucleoli except those in oocytes, spermatocytes and embryonic cell at the first stages of development. And a classification has been established for mammalian nucleoli according to the organization of these three components. They are reticulated, compact, ring and segregated. This type of nuclear organization correlates with the activity of the cells with respect to ribosomal biogenesis. The reticulated nucleoli are characterized by a network of threads of equal thickness which are made up of either dense fibrillar component or granular component. The fibrillar center are generally small in case of reticulated nucleoli, and they are found in very active cells and in cancer cells. In this diagram, we can see that in a reticulated nucleoli, certain network-like structures are present. Hence, the name is known as the reticulated nucleoli. The next one is known as the compact nucleoli, and it is characterized by a compact organization of the granular component in which some interstices can be seen. They contain several fibular center which is surrounded by dense fibular component. Compact nucleoli are found in active cells and often in cell lines in case of cell culture. Ring-shaped nucleoli contain only one fibular center which is surrounded by a small amount of dense fibular component, and they are found in non-transcribing cells such as in case of mature lymphocyte. The segregated nucleoli are characterized by separation of the nucleolar component which remain superimposed but no longer intermingled. They are found after blocking RNA synthesis, under certain physiological conditions, and after various drug treatments. So we can say that in case of mammalian cells, there are 4 types of nucleoli are found, and they are reticulated, compact, ring, and segregated. Let us have a look on the nucleolar assembly process. I have already mentioned that the nucleolus is a dynamic structure. That means during various stages of cell cycle, its formation and breakdown takes place. As we can see in this diagram, during the prophase of the cell cycle, the nuclear envelopes disappear. Along with it, the nucleolus also disappears. And again, during telophase, when the chromosomes are separated into the 2 poles of the cells, around the separated chromosomes, nuclear envelope forms. These are the nuclear envelopes which are formed along with the surrounding the newly separated chromosomes. Along with the formation of nuclear envelope, the nucleolus also start to form. Due to this dynamic nature, the formation and breakdown of nucleolus takes place. Actually, what happens? During mitosis, the RNA polymerase 1 is associated with the nucleolar organizer region. And in this diagram, these yellow rods represent the nucleolar organizer region. And the RNA processing machinery, which is represented in this brown gradient, is present in the cytoplasm around all the chromosomes. But at that time, the RNA polymerase activity is inhibited by the action of cyclin dependent kinase 1. As its activity is inhibited, RNA polymerase 1 is represented with this 3 red spot. At the end of mitosis, the RNA polymerase 1 activity is initiated as the cyclin dependent kinase 1 is inhibited by some other factors. When the RNA polymerase 1 is activated, transcription of ribosomal RNA takes place, and the transcription process is represented with these blue dashes. In the same time, the early processing machinery is recruited towards the NOR, and this orange dotted arrow represent the recruitment of early processing machinery. Along with this, pre-nucleolar bodies are forms. These orange and brown spots depicts the pre-nucleolar bodies. But the late processing machinery is recruited towards the NOR during early Z1, and it is represented with the help of these dotted brown arrows. And at last, finally, During late G1, all the NORs associate with each other so that they can form a common mature nucleolus. And thus, during cell cycle, the formation as well as breakdown of nucleolus takes place, and by uniting all the NOR, assembly of nucleolus takes place. Now we will discuss about the organization of ribosomal DNA associated with the nucleolus. The chromosomal region surrounding the nucleolus contains genes that code for 5.8S, 18S and 28S ribosomal RNAs. Cells require large number of ribosomes, so a single copy of ribosomal DNA cannot fulfill cell's necessity for many ribosomes, and due to this, all organisms contain multiple ribosomal DNA copies in tandem repeats. And tandem repeat mean the sequence of DNA which is composed of two or more base pairs and is repeated in such a manner that they lie adjacent to each other in the same chromosome. And in this diagram, these black dark dashes are the ribosomal RNA repeats, and this is the nucleolar organizer region as it has the ability to generate the nucleolus. And each of these repeat contains genes for the 18S, 5.8S and 28S ribosomal RNAs. The ribosomal RNA genes, which are organized in tandem arrays, are separated by non-transcribed spacer DNA. This is the non-transcribed spacer DNA which separate two ribosomal DNA repeat, and it also contains to internal transcript spacer and to external transcript spacer. These two are internal transcript spacer, and this one and this blue one is known as the external transcript spacer. Out of the 4 ribosomal RNAs, 18S, 5.8S and 28S ribosomal RNAs are transcribed as a single unit within the nucleolus, and it produces a 45S precursor ribosomal RNA molecule, and this 45S precursor ribosomal RNA is further processed to produce 3 different types of ribosomal RNAs, that means 5.8S, 18S and 28S ribosomal RNAs. The 5S ribosomal RNA is transcribed outside the nucleolus with the help of enzyme RNA polymerase III, and after its transcription, it is imported into the nucleolus so that it can combine with the other RNAs to form the pre-ribosomal particles. The nucleolus is associated with varieties of proteins. There are certain proteins which are mainly associated with nucleolus, but they are also found in other cellular compartments. And this is a simple tabular form of some of the important proteins of nucleolus and their functions. For example, RNA polymerase I is the enzyme of transcription, and it is needed for the transcription of 5.8S, 18S and 28S ribosomal RNA. Upstream binding factor act as an transcription factor. The enzyme methylase is the enzyme of modification, as it adds methyl group to the ribose residues and some bases. Helicases remove the assembly factors from the RNA after the assembly of ribosomal subunit. The fibrillary is an important nuclear protein which is used during the processing of pre-ribosomal RNA molecule. Similarly, nucleophosmin is used for the assembly of ribosomal subunit. Nucleolin is the protein for RNA packaging, and enzymes, kinases, and nucleases are used for the processing of pre-ribosomal RNA molecule. Though the proteins which are mainly associated with nucleolus play important role in the ribosome biogenesis, but some proteins like the nucleophosmin and nucleolin are also helpful to detect the stress during the nucleolar stress. And when we will discuss about the functions of nucleolus, we will go through it. So these are some of the important proteins of nucleolus. Let us discuss about the functions of nucleolus. The primary function of nucleolus is the ribosome biogenesis. That means synthesis and processing of ribosomal RNAs and their assembly into ribosomal subunits takes place within the nucleolus. As it is the main function of nucleolus, we will discuss in detail about this process later. Beside the ribosome biogenesis, it has lots of different functions. For example, it also helps in protein synthesis. We know that ribosomes are known as protein factory, and the assembly of ribosomal subunit takes place within the nucleolus. So, it is indirectly linked with the protein synthesis also, and we can say that nucleolus also help in the protein synthesis of cell. In case of mammals, the assembly of signal recognition particles takes place within the nucleolus. And the main function of signal recognition particle is that they act as an escort to bring the ribosome subunit into the endoplasmic reticulum membrane. These green regions are the signal recognition particle, and they bring the ribosomal subunit into the endoplasmic reticulum. The RD steps of assembly of this signal recognition particle takes place within the nucleolus. Nucleolus also helps to detect cellular stress, and it can be considered as a center point in sensing the cellular stress. During cellular disturbances, nucleolus undergo different structural as well as compositional changes, and different nucleolar proteins have been identified that under stress can lead to cell cycle arrest, arrest of DNA replication, induction of DNA repair, and cell death. For example, nucleophosmin and nucleolin transit to the nucleoplasm in response to stress and participate directly in the repair of numerous DNA damages. As we can see in the diagram, that various agents lead to the development of nucleolar stress, and it is accompanied by the morphological as well as the morphological changes as well as the functional defects, and ultimately it leads to the activation of p53 signaling pathway. Actually, this process works with the help of protein MDM2. Generally, MDM2 bind to p53 and lead to its degradation with the help of ubiquitin protein. But during nucleolar stress, what happens? Some nucleolar protein bind to MDM2 and inhibit it, and due to inhibition of the MDM2, the p53 is activated, and ultimately it leads to the changes in the behavior of the cell. Thus, we can say that nucleolus help to detect cellular stress, and it maintains cellular homeostasis with the help of various types of mechanisms. In the same way, nucleolus also help in the regulation of cell cycle. various proteins have been identified that associate with the nucleolus at different stages of the cell cycle, and it indicates that nucleolus is also associated with the cell cycle regulation. Similarly, nucleolus also help in the processing of transfer RNAs. It can be said that the nucleolus is involved in certain stages of the life cycle of some transfer RNAs, the precursor for certain transfer RNAs, and the enzyme RNase P that removes the 5' leader sequence from the transfer RNAs are localized primarily in the nucleolus. Thus, it suggests that certain stages of the processing of at least some of the tRNAs are carried out in the nucleolus. Again, nucleolus also help in the processing of small nuclear RNAs. There is also evidence for nucleolar involvement in the biosynthesis of small nuclear RNAs that participate in mRNA splicing process. Again, modification of some small nuclear RNAs like methylation and pseudouridylation occur in the nucleolus, and it suggests the involvement of nucleolus in the processing of small nuclear RNAs. In the same manner, nucleolus is also used in the processing of messenger RNAs. Since small nuclear RNAs that participate in mRNA processing are synthesized in nucleolus, hence it is indirectly linked to mRNA processing also. These are the various functions of nucleolus. But I have already mentioned that the main function of nucleolus is the ribosome biogenesis, and we will discuss about the ribosome biogenesis in the subsequent slide. Ribosome biogenesis is the main function of nucleolus, and it is a very long process, and it have to occur in different steps like the transcription of ribosomal DNA, processing of pre-ribosomal RNA, and assembly of ribosomal subunit. The transcription of ribosomal DNA containing genes for 5.8S, 18S, and 28S ribosomal RNAs are occur largely at the border between the fibrillar center and the dense fibrillar component. For this process, two main enzymes are needed. They are RNA polymerase 1 and RNA polymerase 3. RNA polymerase 1 is needed for the transcription of 5.8S, 18S, and 28S ribosomal RNAs, whereas RNA polymerase 3 is required for the transcription of 5S ribosomal RNA outside the nucleolus. In electron micrograph, it is seen that each of the tandemly arrayed ribosomal RNA gene is surrounded by densely growing packed RNA chain, and it gives a Christmas tree like structure. This is the Christmas tree like structure of the ribosomal DNA. The processing and modification of the pre-ribosomal RNA transcript occur largely in the dense fibrillar component. In higher eukaryotes, the primary transcript of the ribosomal DNA is the large 45S precursor ribosomal RNA, and it is composed of 18S, 5.8S, and 28S ribosomal RNAs. Along with it, it also contains two external transcript spacer at the 5' and 3' end. These red regions at the 5' and 3' end are the external transcript spacers. And it also contains two internal transcript spacer which surround the 5.8S ribosomal RNA. These two regions are the internal transcript spacer. Generally, the internal transcript spacer separate the mature RNAs. The external transcript spacer have to be removed so that it can give different types of mature RNAs. The pre-45S ribosomal RNA has to be cut and trimmed into other smaller ribosomal RNAs that will be the components of ribosomal subunits. The large ribosomal subunit contains 5.8S, 28S and 5S ribosomal RNAs, whereas the small ribosomal subunit contains 18S ribosomal RNA. I have already mentioned that the 5S ribosomal RNA is transcribed outside the nucleolus with the help of RNA polymerase III enzyme. For the processing of pre-ribosomal RNA, different types of nucleolar proteins and RNAs are required. For example, fibrillary is an important protein which is used in the processing of pre-ribosomal RNA. The small nucleolar RNA U22 is used for the cleavage of pre-ribosomal RNA into 18S ribosomal RNA. This is the U22 small nucleolar RNA and it is required for the processing of 18S ribosomal RNA. In the same way, the small nucleolar RNA U8 is used for the processing of 5.8S and 28S ribosomal RNAs. Generally, in all the eukaryotes, the processing follows the same pattern, but there may be differences in the number and mode of cleavage. In addition to cleavage, the processing of pre-ribosomal RNA involves modification that result into the addition of methyl group to specific bases and ribose residues, and it is known as the methylation. Modification also includes pseudo-uridylation, that means conversion of the uridine into pseudo-uridine. And for all this process, various nucleolar proteins and nucleolar RNAs are required. Thus, the first two steps of ribosome biogenesis, that means the transcription of ribosomal DNA and the processing of ribosomal RNA, takes place with the various types of activities and which depend upon various types of proteins. Now we will discuss about the third step of ribosome biogenesis, that is the assembly of ribosomal subunit. Now we will discuss in detail about the ribosome assembly, that is the third step of ribosome biogenesis, and the ribosome assembly occurs in the granular component of the nucleolus. The ribosome assembly is a very long process and it contains three steps. They are import of ribosomal proteins and 5S ribosomal RNA from the cytoplasm into the nucleolus, export of pre-ribosomal subunit after its formation within the nucleolus into the cytoplasm, and last one is known as quality control. For the import and export purpose, it depends upon a group of protein like the karyofurin. The 5S ribosomal RNA and the ribosomal proteins which are synthesized outside the nucleolus are transported into the nucleolus. And in this diagram, we can see that the 5S ribosomal RNA and the ribosomal proteins are imported into the nucleolus, and after the formation of the pre-ribosomal subunit, they are exported out from the nucleolus into the cytoplasm. For the efficient passage through the nuclear pore complex, it depends on a group of protein. and most importantly, it depends on the transport receptor protein. And one of the largest family of transport receptor is the karyofurin. It contains both the importin as well as the exportin. In this diagram, you can see that the importin is represented with the help of green color, and they bind the cargo molecule in the cytoplasm, and after their transportation across the nuclear pore complex in the nucleus, when the importin bind with the RAN-GTP, it releases the cargo molecule. In the same way, the exportin is represented with the help of yellow color. It binds both the RAN-GTP and cargo molecule inside the nucleus, and after its translocation through the nuclear pore complex, it releases the cargo molecule upon conversion of RAN-GTP into RAN-GDP. Thus, import and export needs various types of proteins, and it occurs in the granular component. We will discuss about the quality control process in subsequent slide. One of the critical stages of ribosome maturation is the export of pre-ribosomal particles to the cytoplasm so that they can form the 40S and 60S subunit of eukaryotic ribosomes. I have already mentioned that both the export and import require a group of proteins. In this slide, we will discuss in detail about the export of pre-ribosomal subunit, and for this process, it requires an export adapter, export protein, and RAN-GTP. To effectively move from the nucleolus to the cytoplasm, the pre-ribosomes interact with export receptors to move through the nuclear pore complex, and the karyofurin CRM1 is the receptor for both the ribosomal subunits, and it mediates their export in a RAN-GTP dependent fashion. In this diagram, we can see that only one ribosomal subunit export is presented. In the in the nucleus, the pre-60S subunit, which is associated with different protein factors, and the protein factors are represented with the help of red colors. This pre-60S subunit bind with the export adapter, which is in green color, and the export adapter provide a link to bind the pre-60S subunit with the export protein CRM1. When RAN-GTP binds to this complex, it mediates their transportation across the nuclear pore complex into the cytoplasm. And when RAN-GTP is hydrolyzed into RAN-GDP, it releases the 60S subunit in the cytoplasm. In the similar manner, the 40S subunit is also exported into the cytoplasm. Quality control is also an important phenomenon for ribosome assembly as well as ribosome biogenesis. The ribosomes are very complex, so a certain number of ribosomes are assembled incorrectly, and it may lead to the waste of cellular energy and resources. To prevent this, cells have an active surveillance system to recognize damaged or defective ribosomes and target them for degradation. And cells perform this with the help of exosome, which is a multi-subunit complex having the exonuclease activity. Besides, mutations in ribosome biogenesis is linked to several types of human genetic disorder. For example, inherited bone marrow failure syndrome, which is characterized by a predisposition to cancer and a reduced number of blood cells, is also due to the mutation in ribosome biogenesis. So, you can say that both the export of pre-ribosomal subunit and the quality control are two important phenomena of ribosome biogenesis. This picture depicts the entire process of ribosome biogenesis. When the ribosomal DNA is transcribed into pre-ribosomal RNA, the ribosomal proteins, which are synthesized outside the nucleus, is transported into the nucleolus through the nuclear pore complex and combined with the pre-ribosomal RNA molecule. In the same way, the 5S ribosomal RNA, which is synthesized outside the nucleolus with the help of RNA polymerase III enzyme, is imported into the nucleolus and they form the pre-ribosomal particles. After that, the pre-ribosomal particles are exported into the cytoplasm so that they can form the active 40S and 60S ribosomal subunit of the eukaryotic ribosomes. Thus, transcription of ribosomal DNA, processing of precursor ribosomal RNA, and assembly of ribosomal subunit all together constitute the ribosome biogenesis process, and it is the main function of nucleolus. After going through the presentation, we can conclude that the nucleolus is the most important nuclear domain where ribosome biogenesis takes place. That means transcription of ribosomal DNA as well as assembly of ribosomal subunit takes place within the nucleolus, and it is the main function of nucleolus. Though ribosome biogenesis is the main function of nucleolus, it has some other non-traditional functions also, like it helps in the regulation of cell cycle, it helps in the processing of transfer RNA, messenger RNA, etc. The nucleolus is a major target of signaling pathways, as it can lead to the activation of p53 signaling pathway during the nucleolar stress. We have learned that the synthesis of ribosomal RNA is an energy consuming process. So, alteration of ribosomal RNA synthesis can be the best way to preserve the cellular homeostasis. Again, mutation in ribosome biogenesis is linked to the different types of genetic disorder. So, to check the quality of the ribosomes during their production is the important phenomenon of ribosome biogenesis. At last, we can say that nucleolus is the brain of the nucleus. We know that the nucleus can be considered as the brain of the cell. In the same way, nucleolus can be also considered as the brain of the nucleus. And these are the different references I have used for the preparation of this presentation. And with this, I would like to conclude for today. For any kind of feedback, you can find me at this email ID. Thank you very much.